Hello everyone, welcome back. Before we start today's video, here's a quick roundup of this week's fragrance community news. First, Roger Dove has accepted my challenge to see who can wear the most ridiculous shirt in a video. Next, Dava from the Fragrance Bros has released a video asking if Jeremy Fragrance is okay, without realising that anyone looking at Dava's recent video thumbnails might reasonably ask the same question about him. And finally, one of Mark Robe's 8's fanboys has reacted to the news that Jeremy Fragrance hasn't in fact quit YouTube and he's going to still be making videos as usual.
Smelly. Smelly.
Hello everyone, welcome back to all of you in the Smelly Army. So quick trigger warning, today's fragrance review video does feature some fragrances by Dua Fragrances, so if you find that upsetting, be warned. I know that not everyone likes the house of Dua. There seem to be a lot of thumbs down when I do a Dua Fragrances video, and I don't really understand why they get more hate than other houses. There's Parfums Vintage, there's Alexandria Fragrances who also make clones or inspired expressions that are not super cheap, and people certainly seem to accept them more so, and also Armaf and Al Haramain, the cheapo kind of houses. Most people think they're okay. Some people maybe are real fundamentalists against all clone houses, I don't know, but you know, if you've ever thought that it was okay to play a copy of a Fender Stratocaster guitar or a Gibson Les Paul with a less illustrious logo, or worn a watch that's inspired by Rolex designs but is only made by Seiko or Citizen, then it shouldn't really be a huge problem that there are fragrance companies that make inspired expressions or clones of really high-end niche stuff, and I think that's fine. I'm going to continue to share anything and everything that I find interesting with my viewers on my channel. I'm not going to be scared by thumbs down or mean comments to think I shouldn't feature Dua Fragrances or Parfums Vintage or anyone else. I know a lot of my viewers say, thanks, I checked this out, I'm really happy I bought it, about these fragrances, so I'm going to continue putting them on my channel. I do get sent them free to review, but you know, I've got a really big collection, so I'm not desperate for new fragrances, and so there's not that much in it for me, except that I find them interesting and good to share with you. So let's have a look. Before I get into today's main subject, actually, Dua did send me a couple of new ones that they're excited about. Love Dungeon is their take on Boadicea the Victorious fragrance Love Poison. That's a really expensive one. 100ml of that one is £580 on their website, and it's a really fruity kind of turbo gourmand fragrance. Loads of vanilla with a nice rose note. First impressions, pretty appealing. Not normally my cup of tea, but it's certainly very powerful and much more affordable than the real thing. They've sent me a sample of the real thing to compare, so if you're interested in more information about that one, I can do a video, let me know. And they've also sent me Casino Royale Nights, which is their take on the Extract de Parfum version of Maison Francis Kurkdjian's Baccarat Rouge 540. Loads of people really love the original Dua fragrance, Casino Royal, which was their take on the Eau de Parfum. That's got very high ratings, even from Gent Sense, who didn't like Poseidon's Elixir 13ZZ. So the Royal Nights edition, based on the stronger version, should be pretty exciting for some of you. And my first impression, again, is that it is rather powerful, strong, fruity, a little bit of ambergris in there, and I'm still getting to know that one, but I do find it quite good. And I've ordered a sample of the original MFK fragrance, so if you want a full review and comparison, I can do that. But today's subject, Invasion Barbar. So Invasion Barbar from MDCI Parfums was first released in the year 2005. The perfumer was Stephanie Bacouche. The price for this one on the company's website, if you want the version with the fancy bust on top, it converts to £311 British money from €350, and the 75ml without the unnecessary bust is £200 or €225. In comparison then, Dua Fragrances have given us this, their take on it: Invasion of the Barbers. This one will set you back $60 for 30 mils on the company's website. That's roughly equivalent to £45. There are often codes, and I just checked today and there was a code on the website that you can just see, anyone can see it who goes on there, for 15% off. So I think it was DUA 15. So that brings the price down, and it'll clearly much less expensive than the original. The notes for both of them are the same, so let's hear about those. So in the top we've got grapefruit, bergamot and violet leaves. In the mid, cardamom, lavender and ginger. And I forgot to mention thyme. And in the base we have patchouli, vanilla and musk. So Invasion Barbar and Invasion of the Barbers by DUA, same note listing. I'll talk about the original, fantastic niche fragrance from 2005. First 5-star rating from Luca Turin in his original Perfumes The Guide. Doesn't give those out very freely. So this one is a really nice, spicy, masculine barbershop type scent. I would call it a neo barbershop scent. It's officially classified as an oriental fougere. So fougere will tend to have a fern-like smell traditionally, but it can be many, many things. But we're looking at a slightly soapy, clean, musky lavender scent, but this one has the addition of a lot more sweetness than some of the 1970s or 80s versions of this kind of scent. So in the opening you get a really nice burst of grapefruit stroke bergamot, this kind of citrusy opening. I've got some on my hand here, and then there's this real creamy, almost milky element to the fragrance that comes from the cardamom. It's very heavy on the lavender. You can pick out a lovely lavender note, so that's really where the barbershop element is coming in, because lavender tends to be in fragrances we call barbershop. And in the base there is a lot of muskiness and vanilla. It's definitely got a sweetness about it, which makes it very likable and a bit more modern smelling than some of the old really piney green fougere type fragrances, and a bit less daddish actually than things perhaps like YSL's Rive Gauche Pour On, which literally smells like a really good shaving foam, and this does too, but maybe it's a little bit of a posh shaving foam with something a little bit different in it, and in this case I think it's the vanilla. So it's spicy, it's a little bit creamy, it's masculine, but it's leaning a little bit not so macho and hairy chested as some of your fougères. It's a neo fougere. I think it's influenced a little bit by things like Jean-Paul Gaultier's La Male from 1995, which introduced a little bit more sweetness to these type of barbershop scents. It's really, really beautiful. I enjoy wearing it. I've been having this sample and wearing it for the last 4 or 5 days. I got it from someone on a Facebook group, thanks Kevin. And it's a really, really pleasant fragrance for barbershop fragrance lovers, but not off-putting for people who don't like dated smells. It really is kind of a timeless elegance. Smooth, creamy, a little bit spicy, slightly exotic, but overall giving a clean, well-groomed air about the wearer. It's often compared to 1725 Casanova from the company Histoire de Parfum. There is a similarity, but I don't think they're really very much the same. The other one has a lot of similarity in that it's got sweetness and vanilla in it, but that one has almond and licorice. This one doesn't have that. The cardamom is a big different factor here, and this one a little bit more freshness for me in the beginning as well, with a bit more of a citrus element than the other one. So really, really nice, lovely stuff. Performance on this one, good but not incredible. It's decent. It has a nice projection at first, but it goes a little bit soft and close to the skin and settles down to a sort of average level that you would hope for from a niche eau de parfum. So a good performer, but not amazing or outstanding. In comparison then, DUA's version, Invasion of the Barbers, it's very, very similar, and I know people are saying, oh, how come every reviewer always says DUA fragrances, oh, it's 98% similar to the original. The truth is, in most cases, they do smell 90-something% similar to the original, and this one really no exception. I think that the DUA ones, and I believe they've said as much, have a higher concentration of oil than your average eau de parfum, more like a 30% fragrance oil compared to maybe 18-20 in a niche eau de parfum. So you get a different experience because of the heavier concentration of oil. So I think you're going to notice more of the bergamot and the sort of yellowy green feel in the opening of the real thing Invasion Barbar, whereas this one comes off a little bit denser and richer straight from the off. Not necessarily better or worse, but it's not 100% the same. As time goes by, the scent gets much, much more similar. I've tested them quite a bit. I've had them on paper strips and sort of gone back and forth. So after an hour or so, on the paper strip and on skin, they get really, really similar, and it is very hard to tell them apart. I can probably say there's some kind of difference, but I honestly can't sit here and put my finger on what it is and say, oh, the grapefruit fades more or whatever. Maybe you get just a little bit more of the grapefruit and the freshness, I think, in the original version. And I guess because it's a thicker concentration, that extract, that tends to lean more towards base notes and the richer, heavier elements of the scent. I think you get maybe just a tiny bit more of that in Dua's Invasion of the Barbers, but essentially they're really, really similar. They really are. Performance on the Dua one is a touch stronger. I've really tried to be objective and spray the same amount on each bit of paper, and the Dua one did last longer and smelled stronger on the paper strip than the original fragrance, and on skin. The Dua one is kind of edging towards that beast mode kind of territory. It's very strong. Let's say it's a very, very good performer, whereas the original fragrance is just a good performer. So Dua's one is a little bit stronger, and it's very, very similar to the original fragrance, and that's really all there is to say. It's one of the best barbershop scents out there. Even Luca Torina said that about the original fragrance. This one and the original both perform well. The Dua a touch better, and the value for money on the Dua fragrance is a lot better. So it's a cheaper option. It's a small bottle, 30ml. It's not cheap. So I'll do the negatives about Dua. It's not cheap. It's not £20. It's not £30 for 100ml. So you are looking at outlaying £45, or maybe a little bit of a discount, maybe more like 40, 38, and you're only getting a 30ml. And you're not getting anything that prestigious. It's a very basic bottle. The design of the label is nice, but you're not getting that magical feeling that you would get if you got the nice box with this one, opened it up, the bottle, the presentation. So you don't get that, and you don't get that peace of mind of knowing you've got something really exclusive. But smell-wise, in all honesty, there's not a lot of difference. I can't really pick out a huge difference, except for this one smells a touch more dense and richer and lasts a bit longer, but it's very much the same scent profile overall that I'm getting. Really, really good stuff for me, Dua's Invasion of the Barbers. That's why I've chosen to do a video comparing it to this, because I think it's something my viewers will be interested to know about. I love the original fragrance. That's worth getting, absolutely, if you can afford it. You might get better performance out of the Dua one. You won't get the same feeling of owning something really prestigious and fancy, but you may smell just as good, or maybe even slightly better, or more noticeably good, because it does perform extremely well. So that is my verdict on Dua's Invasion of the Barbers versus the original MDCI Invasion Barbar. Both excellent. Which one would I advise you to get if you're a multi-millionaire and money doesn't matter? Probably just go out and get the MDCI Parfums one. If you're an average person with a bit of an interest in fragrances and you really, really like it, you've tried the original fragrance in the shop, but you think it's a little bit expensive, I would say this could be a really, really good buy, and most people in the air are going to think that it smells exactly the same, and you're going to smell great. A lovely barbershop, yet modern oriental twist on the barbershop fragrance genre. So both excellent. Both get a 9 out of 10 from me. Superb fragrances. Let me know what you think about that. I will put the link to Dua's fragrance website in the comments below. If you're in other countries, you just order through the same website. So if you're in the UK, it's just the main website. In the USA, where you order. Thanks very much for watching. Let me know what you thought of this video. Whatever you're doing in life, let's project. See you in the next one. Bye bye. Smelly.